So I want to do this video on passive aggressive environments or toxic environments. The more subtle stuff that maybe we don't always pay attention to in life, of how a certain person in our life or certain environments, people, etc. might actually be living our life for us, and we don't realise that they're kind of driving our life. In lots of cases we're very aware of it, but there's lots of times when we're not so aware that it's actually them driving us. And what I mean by that is I'll try and give you a little scenario. So if you're a person and you're thinking about you wanted to join the army or you wanted to join the navy, and let's say deep down you want to join the army, and deep down you want to join the army, but your dad would like you to join the navy. In a nutshell, you end up picking the navy because you think it's going to please your dad. However, it can sometimes run a bit deeper than that, or it could be your mum, best friend, whatever. But I'll use dad as an example. But sometimes it can be done and we don't know about it, because where we might want to pick the army, that's what gets us flowing. That's what gets us excited. That's where we know we're going to be good at. We're going to ultimately have the life that we want in there. Say we know it's going to be good for us. We also know that the navy would be quite good, so we're not totally against it, but we know it would be good. We can go around the world and do whatever we want to do, so we kind of justify it a little bit, and yeah, that would be good. There's this underlying feeling when you choose between the two. There's this underlying, real subtle feeling, subtle voice saying, but if you pick that one, the navy, you'd get dad's approval, or dad would say, well done. And sometimes in life, with those bigger decisions, we end up picking something that was for, in this case, our dad. But like I said, it could be anyone. But we pick that thing because the feeling of wanting his approval for having picked what we know he would be proud of, the feeling of wanting that is too big a drive for us to pick the army and get what we would have ultimately really liked. So we chase after that validation, and we might be chasing after that because for years and years and years, everything that you do or say, maybe your parents or your parent or family, it's like they can take it personally when you don't make the decision in life that you know they would like. So you could be ignored for a little while, or maybe you were made to feel guilty, or they've gone quiet on you, and now you spend your time trying to make it up to them and be the good child, so that you can get back in their good books type thing. And this goes right on until 40s, 50s, 60s. Some people go to, even when their parents die, they're still making decisions based on what they thought would please their parents. And that's what I mean about, we have to be so aware of ourselves all the time, because we can do that stuff so unconsciously. But that is ultimately where we get these feelings sometimes in life, where we do something and then months, years later we go, I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. There's several things that come off of that. That's the bad way of doing things. This is why we must always really get in touch with our true self. And our true self is coming out in the dark night of the soul. Because when we live through that true self, like I said in the video a little while ago, when we live through that true authenticity, we can't really do anything wrong. We can make errors, but we can't do anything wrong, because it's fulfilling us. It's fulfilling our authenticity. It's filling what we love in life. It's filling what we know we need, without the little voice at the background here, which is the one we always have to be careful with. Without the little voice at the background saying stuff like, yeah, but your dad, this might be the decision that you made, and this would be the time when your dad would say, well done, you. Probably not going to happen if you come from that kind of environment, but you get the point. I think you get the point I was trying to make there. When it's truly for us, we can't really make a wrong decision. But there's a bit more to it than that as well, because I want to try and get across to you how I started to do things and how I was able to kind of grow and control my environment and become how I've become now, which really is, guys, very, very free. And that's what I want to give to you lot. But I know at the point in the dark night of the soul, when I was at where many of you are at, I didn't see things quite clearly, because you got the push and the pull and the matrix and wanting to go forward. There's all these millions of things going on that we're trying to learn. And it's so confusing. So that's why sometimes I might go real dive deep into things and hopefully make sure that I have got the point across. Also, I do forget what I've said, so sometimes I will repeat, as we know. I've probably repeated that twice in this video already. But why it's important. Now, if we've got parents that fundamentally want the best for us, but they have this wonderful way, or I'm tongue-in-cheek, they have this wonderful way of, when we don't do what it is that they wanted us to do, there's a feeling that comes from them. There's an aura that they start creating. There's a guilt that they put on you. So that could be very, very mild, passive-aggressive type, almost covert narcissism, if you like. Not so, maybe not so deep as that. That's a whole nother video. But you know, for the sake of trying to get the point across, it comes from there, and that's why we can end up doing things that suit them. And the doing things to suit them might look like this. Oh, I really want to do that. Oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I'll do that. And then we do that thing. When we get home, we say that thing that we've done, and no one's upset from it. They're not upset from it because they think that you've done what they wanted. But the thing is with that, you haven't actually given them what they wanted. Because if they do fundamentally want the best for you, by you choosing the thing that they want you to choose and not the thing that you want, means that you're building up anger, you're building up resentment, but it's also not what you want. Because it's not what you want and they want the best for you, you've actually deprived them of giving them what they want. So in other words, if you picked what made you completely elated, I'm exaggerating now, but completely elated, so excited and happy at the thing that you wanted, you've given them what they ultimately wanted, even though it might come with a sort of sense of, well, you didn't pick the thing that I wanted you to pick. So they will almost take that personally and be upset about that. I hope that made sense, guys. It's quite a tricky one for me to remember the own psychology that I'm kind of seeing behind that, but I'm pretty sure you guys have got that. You never cease to amaze me with how you kind of make sense of what I'm saying, because sometimes I watch back and think, I know what I was meant to say, but that's not what come out. But they've still made sense of it. So I'm hoping in this case that is it there, that it's got through. But how we can get comfortable with doing what we truly want to do, and not paying attention to the passive aggressiveness that might come back, the sulking or the aura, or we have to now play the adult to our parents because they've taken it personally about a decision that you've made. Don't forget, they've been conditioned as well, the same as were conditioned. And this is something I always try and remember when I'm talking to any of my family members or very close friends who I kind of always have that perception about me that they have sometimes no idea of what it is that I'm trying to say. That in itself is bloody heartbreaking, but it does happen. But how we can develop into that person is by, number one, keeping that in mind, that by us becoming our true self, by us becoming our bigger, better, more aware, happier, more giving back self, by being that person, we are giving them what they want, which is the best for us, and eventually they will see that. And if they don't see that, at least you've been happy, and at least you haven't built a resentment or an anger against them. And so, as we're separating and we start seeing our true self, is to really indulge in that. To do the, like I say, get out in nature. I'm in nature again today. So get out in nature. Go for your long walks, drink plenty of water. Change your eating habits slightly. Start self-loving. Self-loving means giving all the choices that are probably the hardest to yourself. That's what a good definition of self-love. All the hardest things to choose for you are probably the right ones, and therefore are the better ones for you, and that's self-love. After a hard day's work, getting home and having 2 donuts is not self-love. That's what we would deem as a treat. It's actually completely the opposite though. but getting home after a hard day's work, going for a nice walk in nature, drinking a nice big bottle of water, getting home and having a wholesome dinner, that's self-love. I'm sure you get the point I'm trying to make on it. But when that side of us starts to come out, is to just indulge in that. Just to really indulge in that spiritual side of us and start feeling that pride that that side of you is coming out. That you are able to look back at the matrix and the material world that we kind of come from and always thought that would make us the being that we think we need to be. Start feeling proud that you're now the person that you are, that you're kind of proud to be indulging in spiritual practices and going forward down your path. Because as you do that and you go forward down your path, because you're showing yourself a bit more self-love, it's like your self-belief starts coming up, you know, and that's when you start looking in the mirror and thinking, you know what, I've never really looked at you before, but now I look at you, I actually really like you. I like you because you're showing yourself love and you're doing what you want to be doing. Some people, which I see on Instagram and on other social media sites, they use these affirmations, look in the mirror and say, I am beautiful, this, that and the other. For me, that doesn't do anything. I want to actually feel it. I want to know it genuinely. And it's actually a wonderful feeling to look in the mirror, in my case, for the first time in 48 years, look in the mirror and actually think, do you know what? I really like that guy. I like him a lot and I'm comfortable with looking at myself because I'm looking at the depth of me. I'm not looking at the surface anymore. I'm looking at what I'm doing with myself, where I'm going. I'm trying to give more back, which is ultimately fulfilling me. I'm doing something that's creative. I never thought I was creative. I'm doing something that's challenging me creatively, which is these videos. I'm trying to grow things on the outside here, ultimately so I can create a bigger platform so I can give more back. We all know in my I think 2 or 3 of my videos now, I've mentioned that I'd love to be doing stuff. I'd love to be doing more things for the homeless communities and getting more involved in that, driving the message home on that, and seeing if there's a way I can have any kind of impact on that. And because of that, when your self-belief starts coming up, you feel good about yourself. And because you start to love yourself, you don't want to deprive yourself. If you don't start seeing the true love for yourself, saying I love myself is not enough. Most of us are not feeling that, because if we was feeling that love, we wouldn't be eating the shit that we eat. We wouldn't be drinking the stuff that we eat. We wouldn't do all these things that are pretty bad for us, really. The things that we use as coping mechanisms, we wouldn't be doing them. And I think that pretty much goes right across the board for anything, from very mild to the great big addictions. It comes from that place that we're having no value, you know? And if we've got that value in us, we're much more inclined to not do the things that are going to be detrimental to us. And that both goes in terms of being in relationships, the food that we're consuming, the stuff that we might be watching on telly, how we treat our bodies, how we treat our friends. You know, our value is bigger, and so we live according to our value, and then it becomes easier to make the decisions that we want to make in life. And that's where I spoke before in a couple of the other videos about how your natural boundaries come up. And that's one of the natural boundaries there, when you start seeing the depth of your soul, if you like, the depth of yourself. When you start seeing that, your natural boundaries come up, because you won't allow things to be. You become very aware that you are part of nature. You're an absolute miracle to be here and be able to observe ourselves. And when we don't just logically understand that, like a lot of spiritual people would say, they logically can understand that. When we indulge in a good spiritual practice and we give ourselves that meditation time, we give ourselves the time alone, and we stop trying to be so perfectly spiritual, and we stop asking all the questions and looping in our head, and we actually just kind of think, okay, something's happening to me. Something's happening to me. That's nature. And the not understanding that, and the stopping of asking the questions of, I need to understand that, is where you will ultimately start seeing the love for yourself and the peace that you're after. I think I was going somewhere with that, and I've lost track, guys. Or maybe I didn't lose track, and I just thought I did. But anyway, I'm going to end it there. I can't think of anything else to say. If I've missed something out that you'd be more interested in to hear about that, then let me know. And as always, I will do another video. As always, guys, thank you so much for your support and your encouragement, your comments. Thank you to all the guys that have been talking to me on these one-to-ones. It's awesome to get to know you. And if any of you want to do that, just contact me, guys. I'll leave the email in the description thing, and then we can just sort something out. And hello to the new subscribers who have come on this week. Thank you and welcome. And also, guys, it's a lovely day here. A little bit overcast, but I'm quite welcoming that. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else to say. I'm going to go before I waffle on anymore. Okay, guys. Oh, and I'll be doing a video on my caravan for those. So many of you are interested in the caravan. That makes me laugh so much. But I will be doing videos on the caravan. I just need to tidy it up a bit. And I'm always out. Look, I'm never in my caravan, so it's not tidy. It's clean, but it's not tidy. Right, guys. Love you. Take care. Thank you.